Hello, welcome to another edition of The Nell Show. And on this episode, we're talking about something very, 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 very important. We'll always talk about important things on The Nell Show, but I particularly like this topic, and I have been looking for how we can get resource people who can come to take this topic, who are in that space as well, who are in that space, who are coaches, whatever the case may have, is. And it has been a journey, but I'm glad that we're finally starting on, we are going forth with that journey. Today, we are talking about men, singlehood, and the marriage dilemma. We are going to explore what is really going on when it comes to marriage from a man's perspective. That is important because up until now, we hear a lot of women talk when it comes to relationship and marriage, especially when it comes to waiting. There's a lot of emphasis on the women. And as a person who is privileged to have been leading women for over 5 years, I know that sitting with these women and even holding them hand in hand through some of their journeys, for some of them, it's not like they're not ready to get married. It just seems as if, or it seems as though, if the men are not as available or are not as ready as they are. And definitely, I have come out to share countlessly about how women need to expand their mind. That is very important. I think you should not sit down in the four walls of wherever it is that you are used to and say that, men are not getting married to you or are not interested in you. I do not think so. We have had different topics we have had different conversations to actually address that, bringing in a woman who got married from, Daniel is here. I'm going to add him shortly. I'm going to add Daniel shortly. We bringing in women who got married, a religious person who got married from outside of our church. We have had these conversations in different ways to see how we can make sure that women are also expanding their minds to accommodate men that actually want them. And of course, who else is going to do this topic better than Daniel? So I am going to be adding Daniel now. And then we will go. Okay. Daniel, it is so good to have you here.
Hey, good.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Okay.
Good afternoon.
So let me go forward to read Daniel's profile and then we'll get right into the conversation. Daniel Adaja is an on-air personality with Women Radio 91.7 Lagos and the creative director for the Intellect TV show. Daniel is also a voiceover artist, content creator, MC, red carpet host, YouTuber, and an amazing hype man. Popularly known as Power Touch, he graduated from the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, in 2018. Power Touch started his radio journey in 2013. Whilst in school, served as a volunteer with FUNAB Radio. Also was a freelancer with Ogun State Broadcasting Corporation in 2016 to 18 in the ancient city of Abeokuta. Okay, he moved back to Lagos in July of 2018 and joined Women Radio in August 2018. He's currently the host of The Full Breakfast every weekend. He's also every weekday, not weekend. He's also the host of the Friday television show on Silverbed, the Intellect TV show at 10 a.m. Pato tells us that he's currently working on the Talk project and has been involved in his little way to train those who are interested in being in the media world. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today.
You can hear me clearly.
Okay, yes, I can hear you. Okay, yeah. So Daniel,
thank you very much for inviting me.
I'm so happy, and you are the perfect person to start off this conversation in this series that we're going to be going through with. Daniel, well, as you well know, I continue to lead women, and I've been doing so over the past 5 years. And of course, when you are leading women, one of the conversations that will come on your table is marriage and relationship, inevitably. Now, I've evolved in the different things that I've done for women, and currently I am even doing this matchmaking. So we're building an exclusive matchmaking hub and all that.
Really?
Yes. Yes, so exclusive matchmaking. Welcome to our friends. Welcome, Deji. Welcome, Daniel. I can say another Daniel. Okay, but now, Daniel, one of the things that women have started to say, maybe in the past 2 years, maybe it could have been more, but have become more pronounced, is that men are not as ready for marriage as women. It's like the women, oh, they're in church, they're everywhere, they are praying. Where again? They're in the relationship seminars. They're in the where can't we see them? They're reading the relation. If we put out books as authors, they will be the ones to buy. So they are the ones just out there. But it then now looks like, oh, maybe the men are not ready, or at least some men are not ready. But that's the general notion. So I wanted us to talk about this, Daniel, and I want us to start with this. Daniel, in this century, this 21st century, right here and now, what is your view, your own personal view, and of course, having friends and people in your circle as well? What is your view on what men think about marriage at this time?
Wow, that's first off, thank you very much for inviting me on this Instagram Live edition. I'm super grateful to be here. I'm humbled to be here. So first off, this is a whole different ballgame of what used to exist before now. I think naturally, by default, we're in a culture that encourages marriage. We're in a culture that it's the right thing. They have made it the right thing to do to get married. So if you are 35, if you are 40, and you're not married as a man, they begin to ask you questions. So the cultural perspective to marriage being a very important institution is what has led to this kind of conversation that we are having now. It almost looks like if you're not married, you are unfulfilled as a person. In the society that we find ourselves today, we have made marriage part of the criteria to existing on planet Earth. Like if you're not married, then something is wrong with you.
It's wrong.
But the conversation of it is okay not to be married for specific reasons is also a good thing too that we should have. So I think men of this generation actually want to be married, but there are so many factors that have not allowed for that to happen. First off, I think the social perspective to what marriage is. Trust me, in the most recent times, there have been more bad examples than good examples of marriage. We have seen marriages of 8 months gone. We are more enlightened now than in the previous world. Now we see how men treat their women, and we're asking ourselves, do I want to do that to a woman? Do I want to be married like that? We can't talk about the financial struggles. That's something that we must also look at. The financial capability of a lot of men is also something that has led to the reason why men don't think they want to be married, because marriage is responsibility. Just last weekend, I was sharing with someone that was talking about marriage today, and I was like, if my average earning is not so and so, I'm not going to think about marriage. And he was like, no, you don't need to think like that. I was like, okay. And I'm telling you, I like comfort. I am a man of class. I like luxury and things like that. So if I don't feel like I can do these things right now, I would not want to be married. And that's also a problem for men too, because men have set expectations for themselves that are somehow unrealistic, right? We have set expectations that are unrealistic. We want to live a certain type of life. We want to have a certain type of marriage. We want to live a certain kind of way. And if through the journey of our lives, our plans do not resonate in that way, we feel disappointed, and then we hold back and tell ourselves, you know what, let marriage wait. Let that girl, let her be with somebody that are not going to make her suffer.
Wow. I like how you really painted it, Daniel. You just painted it like you just painted the reality. And I like how you ended it, the way you now said, let that girl wait, because that's what happened. Like I said, having conversations with this, so before what's that guy called? Something. Maybe the guy doesn't mean to, it's not like he wants to leave her or something, but he's thinking this way that, go and find someone. But then you say, go and find someone. Then the next person say, go and find someone. And it now looks like, oh, that girl is waiting. You said something about finance that is very, very important. And in our conversations on the radio, this is something that we continue to even talk about, you know, especially in this day and age in Nigeria
Yes.
right now. Daniel, what do you, we've had conversations just like that, your person you were talking to then that was say, oh, don't, never mind, just calm down. Those are conversations too that elders try to have with young men that, oh, you know what, she will support you.
Yes.
Men, can't they see it from that perspective that she will really support you? Or do they feel, she will insult me if she has to give me money? I just want to know the thinking. What's the thinking when because I know that finance one is really key. But then there's also the part where the woman will support you. So why are men not, you know, like, okay, let's go in together? I've had, and let me also buttress this before you make your point. There have been there have been women who earn well that are single. In fact, one pastor not too long ago had to host these women to speak to them, and they were sharing on the interview that, oh, come, you know, I will make your life, you know, I'm just paraphrasing, you know, I will turn your life around. And I'm just wondering, okay, can't men see these women? But then in this financial thing, I want you to please expatiate for us. Is it a thing of, yes, the man has to have his own, but is it a thing of fear that men don't want to be with women that are more financially capable, you know, than they are before marriage? You know, that support is something we are beginning to talk about now, that, you know, men, why don't you look at women supporting you instead of saying you want to just take it up by yourself?
Okay, so first I'm going to answer that question from a very personal perspective. So this is my
All right, your own opinion.
Yes, about it. So as a
Yeah.
young man that I am right now, I do not feel,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of men do not feel empowered. If they are not financially empowered, they don't see the need to be married, because marriage is responsibility. We are in a culture where men have been taught how to be providers, and if you're unable to provide, you are not fit to be a man, right?
That's a
So
good point.
if as a man you are unable to meet your own needs, that's also a problem. So while preparing for this, I was writing a few points out, and something
Yes,
stuck in my brain.
please. Please, yes.
And what I wrote down is, it looks like the more enlightened you are, the less chances of you to get married. Because the more education you get, the more exposure you see. Because we're in a culture where we are in a very competitive and comparative society, right? So we have been raised that way, that everything is a competition. That's why when growing up, they tell us things like, oh, can't you see your neighbor's child? Can't you see
Child,
does he
yes.
have 2 heads? You know,
2 heads, yes.
The worst is when it comes to prize giving day. You should not collect anything. You're in trouble, right?
Yeah, yes,
So
yes.
by default, everyone in the country has been raised in a manner, in a cycle of thinking competitiveness, of thinking, oh, everything has to be competitive. There is a need for competition. There is need for us to compare ourselves to the next person. And the understanding boys have been raised to be providers. When they are raising the girl, they tell the girl child, is this how you are going to behave in your husband's house? They tell the boy to be tough, to be hardworking, and to make sure that he provides for the family. We are not taught to share responsibilities as boys. No. We are told you are the man of the house. A lot of religious perspective will put it that the man is the head of the home. So automatically the head of the home takes care of responsibilities. And we have literally made responsibility to be finance for men,
money
for women.
For women.
Yeah. So that cultural perspective to how boys are being raised has affected us. Now, also, I do not think that men are not capable of being with women that are more successful than them, because we are in a more understanding society today. It has been abused. Let me use that word. It has been abused. There is nothing wrong in being with a woman who is more financially stable than you are. But the question is, African men are not taught to feel like that. We are taught to have our egos up, right? It would be an issue if a man doesn't. There is an identity crisis among young men in Nigeria. There is an identity crisis of knowing where we are and who we are as young men in the country. So the important questions that we need to start dealing with. So when a man doesn't feel like being with a woman who is financially stable than him, it's because he's looking at his ego. How has he been raised? So he has been taught that if he has more money than his woman, that would make his woman more submissive to him, right?
Wow.
So if he's more financially stable, and that differs from different individuals. So there are individuals who have been taught that, oh, money is not everything. So there is more than we need. There is need for love, yeah. there is need for love, there is need for, compatibility, somebody that will
Yes.
be your peace of mind. Be your peace of mind. Because a lot of boys are actually looking for peace of mind. Everybody wants to be happy. Having that peace of mind is very, very key. I was home
Key,
about a
yes.
few weeks. I was home I think about 2 weeks ago, and I was just, teasing my mom about marriage, and then she was like, "Oh, if she's God fearing, everything else will be settled." And I had to start making it clear to her that no, that's not how it works anymore. Maybe it worked like that in your time, but it doesn't work like that now.
Now.
Men want to feel the capacity to do certain things. They want to have the strength to do certain things. They don't want to be disempowered. That's why I wrote this down. I'm still going to do my best to read more about it. That the more
Yes.
enlightened you are, the less chances that you would get married, because you see more, you know
Hey.
more, you know the kind of life you want. We have been raised that way to always have a standard, set a standard for ourselves.
Wow, Daniel, and please share as much as possible with us, from your notes. I know that as I ask questions, you keep sharing. But this is a very important point that you just made. The one about the more enlightened people are, the more, especially men. Let me speak for men, because for women, though, I know women still want to get married. But for men, they're just like, you know what? Anyways, let's just wait, or let's just get this goal. Before you know, more goals, and then it is 5 years from the last time you were in a relationship, and you are wondering, well, for the man, he can just keep on going. But of course, for the women, they are much more prone to worry than the man. But that's something to really think about. Okay. Our next question, Daniel, that of course is still in line. We've spoken about finance at this time. Do you think that the friends with benefits system could also be something that is keeping men away from getting married? Maybe are women giving too much of themselves? We're even going to get to the women questions, mistakes that women don't know. So yeah, the friends with benefit system, do you think that's something that may be making men love? Please, no. So let me just put it to you, Daniel. If a woman is in a relationship with a guy and she says, you know what, I'm not going to give you sex, I'm not going to give you any of those things until you get married to me, is it going to make more men want to get married? Or is it going to be like, I better go, John, me too, I want other goals? Or do you think because we have a lot of it in our culture, the whole sexual friends with benefits culture is even making more men relaxed? What is your own view on that?
So I was on a friend's podcast a few days ago, and one of the points I made, we were talking about the rape culture in Nigeria, and I said something on that podcast. I said, we are in a society that has normalized immorality. So we are in a society that has normalized immorality. We have seen certain things to be the way life should be, and that's because there is no proper education that is going on. There is nothing wrong in staying faithful to yourself and telling yourself, I don't want to have anything to do with this man until we are married. Even, I don't disqualify those who have said, oh, we can be intimate without being married. There is nothing wrong with doing that also. Everybody has a right to make the choices that works best for them. But to now come on a general note and say that's the basics for why, men are not getting married, I wouldn't say that that's the reason. Everybody at every point in time is seeking a certain level of attention. If somebody's friends with benefits with someone, it's because they are seeking a certain level of attention. They want certain things from this person. It's beneficial at that point. They have set the rules of engagement. Maybe they haven't said, oh, we are a boyfriend, girlfriend, man and wife. Yes, but they have set rules of engagement. And as long as both individuals in this conversation are agreeing to it, then that is fine. So for men, to say that women are making themselves more accessible, I don't think I would agree to that, because women are very special beings. They are way smarter than the boys themselves. They are way smarter. They are raised like they are raised. Women are the only people that have gotten all the benefits and are still not treated the way they should be treated. They've gotten all the things, but for some weird reason, the society have not seen the need to do right for themselves. So when it comes to getting married, it is more about the individual. I was listening to a podcast recently, and then the man said the reason why a lot of men are not happy is because we are not necessarily free. And he described freedom in 3 words: mental, emotional, and physical control of anything or anyone. So a lot of men are still being controlled by what they want mentally, where they want to be emotionally, and the physical things that controls them. And the lack of transparency among men is a big issue. Transparency leads to
That's right.
transformation. And we are in a culture now where there is a huge gap when it comes to transparency. We don't know how to talk as boys. We go through stuffs. We are just beginning to see the need to go for therapy. On the radio show, when I mention therapy, some men are looking at me like, is that not you being weak? You know, are you not being weak when you go for therapy? Stuff like that. You know, you're a man, you
Yes.
should man up, you know. And these are the reality of things. COVID showed us that, you know, we have literally neglected the boy child. And it showed not from children, but from adults.
Adults.
Who have children, taking care of children. I know somebody who committed suicide during COVID because he was unable to provide for his family. And it wasn't, and you know, that is a very big gap that we have actually left for the society to teach the boys. So to the question, no, I don't think
Yes.
that, you know, women are making themselves overly available to men because of their tendency. We also cannot take out the fact that the experiences of these individuals also matters. Where they are
Matters.
from, what they have been taught, the kind of experiences they've had is also something that needs to be checked. The environment has not improved over time. We have seen family values degenerate over time, and we have seen
Yes.
different standards, different cultural beliefs. But this particular generation that we are in right now, the access to information has allowed us to question certain things. We don't necessarily agree with it. We have the access to information, and so we can question certain things like arranged marriage. We can question it. We can say, no, why
Question
don't you
it.
just give me somebody and tell me that is my wife or that is my husband? We can question it now, but go back 20, 30, 40 years ago, they most likely would find it difficult to question those things. I was talking
Yeah.
recently and I was telling someone that there are two things to why rape happens in the country, and one is patriarchy and the silent culture. Patriarchy from the fact that men have always seen themselves to be superior to the women, and now we are in a generation where there is access to information, and then we're talking gender equality, gender equity, and so men are
Yeah.
feeling like this is not the norm. This is not what we have been taught. And the ideologies that have existed for centuries, right? The silent culture is being broken. Things are happening in community. The community king will just settle it in that small corner. But with access to social media, even before the community kings get to hear
King
of it,
gets to yes.
the matter is already at the State House of Assembly. So the access to information is also something that we need to explore, and also people need to discover who they are. Honestly speaking, if we are going to be honest about marriage and about men,
Yes.
we need to answer the question from a transparent point of view.
I like that point where you say people need to discover who they are. Absolutely. I think it's the bedrock of sound decision making. And when you're able to discover who you are, you even know if marriage is something you want to do, is something you should be doing, is something you're going to be able to do, or is something you should not do. Because at the end of the day, just like we started this conversation, I like how I started it, it's not do or die. You must be sure that you want to get into it, and you must be sure about the why. Because the why is going to lead your own unique why, your own unique how, and help you navigate that path successfully. I was listening to an interview with men, Daniel, and one of the things that they clearly shared, unashamed, they were unashamed to share about, is the fact that they feel they are not comfortable about is it comfortable? Well, maybe that can be the word right now. They are not, or they are not used to, just like you shared a lot of things that men in this generation are still trying to get used to. They are not used to the whole the women redefined roles, and so they are taking it easy. These are the men at that point, and this is what they shared. Of course, there's the extreme part, or the well, should I say, is it extreme, or extreme is not the word I'm looking for, but the people that are taking feminism to the other side that have missed the point. Then there are just a lot of things, like some women not necessarily cooking in their homes, for instance, or doing all those traditional things that mommy used to do, or they grew up seeing their grandmothers doing. And these men were sharing about how they are not sure how they want to navigate or slide into that role yet, if they are not going to be used to that picture of what mommy used to do or what grandma used to do, depending on who they grew up with. Because now if she's a career woman, maybe you're going to get a cook and something, that's how your house will be run. It's not going to be run, oh, mommy is sweating, sweeping. Is that also what's your own view about that personally? This is something that these other men shared, and could that also be a thing that is holding men back from, you know what, which girl am I going to find that is going to be traditional like my mom? Is that something that still happens in the 21st century with some men, but they are not talking about?
So I start off with the access to information has been a blessing and a curse to this generation. Yes, the access to information has been a blessing and a curse to us, because I'll come from a particular perspective. Now, we always have ideas as young persons that when we grow older, we don't want to train our child the way we were raised by our parents. But you know, the hard truth is we are definitely going to raise our children the way our parents have raised us, because it is see, culture is a way of life. Our parents did not instruct those instructions. They did those instructions every day. We lived by it for a very long time. So for you to break out of that cycle, you need to have access to information. You need to be able to read, understand yourself, rediscover yourself as an individual. Like, tell yourself, this is where I want to be. This is the kind of life I want to be. And we do not talk. We don't talk. That's a major problem. There is a communication barrier in this generation. There is so many access to communicate, but we still do not communicate. That's why marriages are failing. People are not opening up, because there's the phone. You can call, you can Skype, you can do so many things, but communication barrier is a problem. So if, for me as an example now, I know the values I stand for. Are some of these values important? I'm still a very traditional man to a certain level. I want to be, when I finally get married, I want to be married, and I would love for my wife to cook for me, right? But would I make it a mandatory role for her to play in the home? No, that's not it. I should be able to either cook the kitchen myself and make my own meal, or better still, I go and buy food. That, you know, some men have seen that, because they are the man of the house, they can demand that the wife should cook for them, the wife should clean for them. No, that can happen 5-10 years ago, or maybe 10-50 years ago, when marriages where the man marrying more than one wife is providing all of that. No, that can happen right now. People need to understand that the way of life they have always known cannot always be the only way out. So until men begin to have the conversation honestly about them with themselves, and it's even more funny, because you see men that are highly exposed who still have this mentality, who still say, the woman is my wife, I can say this to her, I can tell her to do this. So it is not about the education they have gotten, it's about the culture and the tradition they have been in, the religious institutions that they have been in. There is huge patriarchy in religion. Nobody's questioning it. Everybody's closing a blind eye to it. Why? That's what we need to answer. True. These things cannot be dealt with if they are not said on specific platforms, on the platform of religion or on the platform of culture. So if a pastor in church cannot say that your wife is not your house girl, her major role for you is not to cook on his pulpit, if he cannot boldly come out and say that, right, that would be the problem. But then I've been in a situation before where the pastor was taking glory in the fact that his wife wakes up in the morning and kneel down for him to cook. And then I'm hearing people saying, you see, that's how my wife should be doing for me. She should wake up in the morning, kneel down and kiss me, right? So because it works in your home doesn't necessarily mean you should align with everybody.
Everybody's home.
These platforms to blackmail people, brainwash them in such a way that they're not even taking time to rediscover things themselves. But this generation and age, we have access to information. We see what's happening in other cultures and religion. We can question when somebody says, do this for me, do this for me, do this for me. I say, no, it doesn't work like this again, right? And that has led to that gap. So some men are not ready to change from their ways. Some men are not ready to change from their ways. And the world cannot change for them. They're the ones to adjust their ways.
To adjust.
People that would align with those ways that they believe in. That's it. So for every person, there is no you have to be, there is nothing like this is the right man for me. You just have to be the right person with that person at the right time.
Okay.
So if you're not with the right person with the person at the right time, your visions would not align. So if you are meeting with somebody who is pursuing career goals and you're looking for a very homely wife, it won't work. Doesn't mean that that woman is not a great person. Doesn't mean that that woman doesn't know what she wants in life, right? Doesn't mean the woman doesn't even love you, but your goals do not align. She's a right, but not for you at that time. So find the women that would align for you at the time that you want. Sometimes some men will have to lower their standards because they are looking for women in a class that they cannot maintain. And it's not the fault of the woman. It's not the fault of this has nothing to do with money. But there are certain women that have a certain level of thinking. So I always think of it like this. A 21-year-old lady is as smart and highly developed intellectually like a 30-year-old man. So if at the age of 30, I'm looking for a woman of 27 and she's definitely 2 times enlightened than you, she thinks faster than you as a man, right? So you must find the woman that is even at that age that would align with your vision. So you can't make certain demands again because information is available to this age and time.
Wow. I mean, what a perspective that you brought it from. And I like the point of, you know what, if you're looking for a certain kind of woman, then go and find someone with your belief system, your value system, rather than sitting down and saying, oh, that's why I'm not getting married. Because then again, Daniel, I think some of the reasons why these conversations even happen of, oh, that's why people are not, or men say, oh, that's why I'm not getting married, because they are still looking for something that those career women have to offer, maybe finance and all of those things, but at the same time, they are looking to allow this woman to come and cook, mold a bar, whatever the case may be. So, it doesn't just work that way. It's either you go for the kind of woman, that you want, that will do those things, and maybe you grow her and groom her, and then, just choose, make a choice. But I think that conflict of interest, Daniel, is making some people delay. This one, like you said, like you rightly said, it's not even about money this time around. It's just a matter of, what do I want? Where do I find her? How do I go about it? And some people are still thinking about it. And the thinking about it is taking years. It's taking years, and that's why we're having this conversation. Then I want you to please enlighten us before we move on to the next set of questions. So please enlighten us on this whole enlightenment is causing more people to, or will cause more people to not get married. Can you, in what light, of course, from the perspective that you're bringing it from, in what light does it mean that the more people know about being married, the more people know about life, the more people know about fulfillment? How do you mean? Do you mean, for instance, that people used to think marriage was a form of fulfillment back then, but now they find other ways to gain fulfillment? In what ways is enlightenment at this time making some people not get married or stay single for a while, rather than the previous generation where you'd have gotten married like by the age of 20 or 22 thereabouts?
Okay, so I'm going to sum all of that into expectations, and I'm going to break it into categories, right? In the late 60s and late 70s, the expectations were set by individuals that the children saw. The parents would tell the child, I want you to become a doctor, and that's what you're going to become, right? And that's the expectation that the parents have put forward, and that's the expectation that the parents put the examples before them. Look at Chibu's son. He traveled to the United States, he became a doctor, see what he had been able to do for his parents, right? Because he became a doctor, right? So they will tell you, oh, look at this person, they are raising a beautiful home because they've done this, they've done that, they've done. So there was no access to information with regards to the expectation that people have, right? There was no social pressure on, oh, you're seeing things happening this way. And even though they tell us everything is not the way you see it, right? Like everything is not what you see. The cover of the book doesn't determine what's inside. You get all of this inside. But there are like 3 things towards expectations: where we're expected to be, where we hope to be, and or maybe just some unrealistic pillars are set for success for ourselves, right? And some of these pillars of success we have set for ourselves based on the example that we can now see. The ability for us to now make choices is was not readily available for those in the previous generation, in older generations, is what we have now. We have the ability of choice. We are getting comfortable with breakups. We are getting comfortable having conversation about divorce, right? Which was not something that happened in the past.
In the
Before.
past.
So yeah, so now people are going into relationship with a certain level of expectation, and they are generally unfulfilled in those expectations, and that has hindered them also not to be married.
Okay. Thank you so much, Daniel, for helping to clarify that. We have had a lot of people in this day and age. I was still in a counseling session with somebody yesterday, Friday, at the time of this recording. The person talking about a breakup that happened because this person traveled abroad and then he was in a relationship with somebody in Nigeria. And it couldn't just work out. I think the girl couldn't cope, and well, they just couldn't find a date that they were going to get married ever. And so they had to go their separate ways. Daniel, do you think that that is also going to be a factor in this day and age for why single people may stay single a bit longer? This thing, and this is not the first person. There are other people that the girl had traveled or the boy had traveled, whatever the case may be, and they were in a relationship. So it's time for us to tie things up. This person will say, no, I'm not coming back. And this person will be like, no, I'm not going. I'm not coming. So what are we going to do? And they'll be lingering for years. So what's your view on about this traveling in this day and age and this impact on relationships?
So I always make reference to my parents' marriage. My parents are married for over 25 years now. And
wow.
I remember my mom trying to share with us how they used to communicate back then. And it was a one-way form of communication. You don't see this person, my mom is in the States, my dad is in the work, right? That was before they got married. So for my dad to talk to my mom, he has to write her a letter, which will take 2 weeks to get her, right? So she reads the letter, writes her own letter, and responds back to get to my father in a week and a half time. So for every communication they had to share, it took a minimum of 3.5 weeks. But you know the first part, that's history is not being taught.
This is something to sink in.
That history is not being taught today. How were our parents who don't see their husbands or their wives for months stay in marriage, stay in relationship?
In relationship.
Yeah, they stayed in relationship. They were factual about it. The men were also very definite about what they wanted from the woman, right? They said, this is the woman I want, and they have an agreement. I am going to Lagos to go and work and hustle. When I come back, I will come back and marry you. And that was what happened. You go to the East, you hear a lot of that kind of story more. Of boy went to Lagos, he went to work, he went to hustle. He came back home to the lady he promised that he loved.
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah, you were saying something about go to Lagos.
Yeah, so the boy leaves his home in the East, goes to Lagos to work, comes back to the East, marries the girl he promised that he loved. We make empty promises in this age and time right now. The promises we make are literally empty. We have not been told how to be transparent enough and be accountable enough. I'm also like guilty of some of the things I'm saying here today. When and that's just the hard truth. So long distance relationships, you have to know what works best. You can't just be in a long distance with somebody who doesn't want to be in a long distance relationship. If you have trust issues, I would not advise you to be in a long distance relationship. But can you work? Yes. The communication line has to be constantly kept open. Directly in a time where words you say are more powerful than gifts you would give person. So the words that you say to this, reassuring them. There is this way they talk about how do they call this? What are your love languages, right?
Yes.
Most important of all the love languages is to communicate. Your partner cannot know what's wrong with you. They are not wizards, or they are not having gurus to what is mine, and this is how you feel about this thing. And it's okay to let go. No longer feel is mentally okay for you. Like you don't feel wanted, you don't feel like where you are right now, especially when there's a lot of distrust. If somebody in the relationship would struggle with trust that person. Now, it's left for the person who broke that trust to find to show that time over time. Why would you leave Nigeria, travel out without letting your partner know that it's your plan? That when you travel out, right, and then you now go out, you're now in the abroad, you're now telling them to come and from now. I have a friend right now who's trying to the country. He's telling every girl he meets, this is my plan. I have to leave Nigeria. I'm going to have to spend a minimum of 5 years in this country. So
over there.
Right? I can get my papers now. And after 5 years, I believe in 5 years I'll be able to set up a few things. Would you be willing to come join me?
Yes, so let's just go.
Yeah, so from the beginning, find what we want in a relationship. Some of us just enter the relationship with a lot of excitement, and we feel that the sugar rush running in our belly, and then we feel like it's okay to be in a relationship. I like this person, and these are good feelings. They are good vibes. But after that feeling, thinking is good, and you have digested it, you should sit down with that person and say, "Oh, what's up? Do you feel this way about me? Do you think these are my feelings?" And that's another issue with this generation now. We are failing to identify where we want to be. We are failing to identify where we want to be, like writing down our plans and our goals. And the fact that, like I said, we have normalized it for us. We feel like the next person and
the next person.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that, so there are two sides to this. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't know what you want, but it also mean that the persons you are with are not necessarily aligning as an individual, and that can be a problem. And you can even meet somebody that you align with, but for some reason the past might not just agree that you have to be together.
Wow, what a question. And to think that I almost did not answer that question, but it's so important, and I'm so grateful. I'm so glad that I asked that question. Thank you for the important point. Daniel, what is your view on a woman shooting a shot in this generation? Since, men are just like, we say someone's like, we don't even know where they're at. We don't know where they're at. Okay, let me try. And this thing is even already happening, but I want to know your view. We see the other day, one relationship coach that I follow like that was already sharing about tips, do's and don'ts you should be ready for when you come into his DM, because surely people are already sliding into his DM. But what's your honest view on that? Is it, first of all, this is what I want to know. How does it make a man feel? How does it make a man feel truthfully? How does it make a man feel? Well, let's start with that. If I have any additional thing, I'll add with that. I just want to know. See, where to a man like, this woman is desperate.
I don't think I have the answer for every man.
Every man, okay,
I would answer from my own perspective. With a woman making known to the man how she feels about him, because the man might actually see her and want her, but he's also being careful on, what if this person acts like this, or what if this person does this way? And why the man also can actually shoot at shot, because there's this guy on Twitter that posted something and said, if a guy is nice to you until he makes his intentions known to you, don't assume anything, just believe that he's nice.
It's true.
Right?
He's just
so
being
if
nice,
being nice to you and he's not making his intentions known, you have a right to ask him, because what he's doing is blocking the way for other people. You have a right to ask him and tell, what's up? This with me lately. I just really want to understand where you are and where you want. If you have any plans to come ask me out or something, it's okay to ask. And a lot of men do not find it comfortable. I've been asked out before. So but the first time it happened, I didn't know exactly what to say, because it's not something that we know how to. We're not used. So I just had to keep looking at the person for a while. I'm like, okay. And then I know that I couldn't say much. I just said, can we exchange numbers? At least let's start with that. And then after that, we had a formal run, and then we shared our perspective with each other. And then we already know from when that, this is where we are as an individual. We can just be friends. Nothing more can happen.
Nothing more.
But some men do not. Some men, I don't think if some men can agree with. I also think the approach also matters. The approach also matters. I don't think they just look at it. I like you. I want you to be my girlfriend, and I'll just.
But that was it. Now, wow.
No, I don't think it will work. I know that it has to come with some form of stylishness. In the same way, the guy would have to be very deliberate about wanting. I think it differs. I think it differs.
Okay, wait, Daniel, before you go on, yes. What do we need to do to adjust that? I know I was hearing you cut, but I was thinking it was my network. I didn't want to disturb the interesting conversation. There are two things we can do. We can either, bring you. You can rejoin. You can leave and rejoin just in like 2 seconds. That usually works. Yes. So you can leave.
I think it's you that has to exit it out, right?
No, because you can
just
just come back again. Wow, so many important points that Daniel has been making, and of course, he's going to join us back right now. Thank you so much, Esho, yes, for pointing that out so that it will help to make the lasting or the concluding part of the conversation very audible. So many important points. Also, if you have your questions, because we're coming to the concluding part, please feel free to ask these questions. Daniel is coming back. He just needs to adjust. The audio thing. Let's see if he's back. Okay, he's back. So please just stay with us. All right. Okay. I've just added him. I just added Daniel. Yes, okay. I've invited him. So it would definitely. Okay. Yes, he's back again. Thank you again, Daniel. All right. Please, can you try to speak? Okay. Well, it seems to be better from my side. So you can let us know, Esho, how that is going for you, if you can hear him very well. Okay. So basically, from what you were saying before you went up, you were saying even the manner matters and the approach.
The manner of approach matters. I don't think there is a specific rule to this thing. I don't think there's a specific rule to how the approach should be done. People have done it in different ways and it has worked for them. You have to shoot your shot. It's not shooting your shot unless you take the shot. You can't know if it will hit.
Okay. So, well, there's stylish way people can go about it, but please, from all that we've shared, even your perspective and just other perspective I also learned as well. I think that it is important for the woman, if you're whatever conversation you're going to have with the man, whatever stylish way you want to have that conversation with him, it's important that you allow the man to take the lead, because rightly so, in the context of marriage, is the one that is the head of is going to be the head of the home. So I think I personally do not support a woman going to ask a man to marry her. That one, I think it is another level.
No.
Desperate.
I don't think it should come out as desperation.
Okay, it's better now. Yes, you are trying to make a point.
Yes, I don't think it should be seen as desperation. Be open to the idea that we have rights to know how somebody feels about us and how we feel about them. Yes. Because the woman can make a man who is telling himself he's not ready to get married, can make the man get married.
True.
That's true. So it doesn't necessarily mean that she has to say, "Oh, marry me now." No, but there are specific ways that I know women are very smart. What I'm saying now that I'm laughing, if a woman handles this conversation of approaching a man, he will tell you how to go about it and make that man see that that's the only thing that he needs in his life right now. And unless he marries, life will be ending for him. So it's something that we must be open to. We must not be closed-minded towards the fact that a woman can ask a man and the marriage will go well. They will live a happy and beautiful life together. But I'm still of the traditional opinion that a man should propose to a woman. That is the traditional opinion that I'm going to stick with. I'm not sure anything is explain that.
Talking about that self, I even know a person, she doesn't like to. I know a person who, they were in a relationship, it was the man who asked her outrightly and even proposed to her, but for some reason, he was actually stalling on marriage. Well, for whatever, maybe finance, whatever the case may be, or societal expectations like we've shared here. And the woman is just like, you know what? Let's get married, or something like that. And just like you rightly said, just like, okay, and they started the conversation, and today they are happily married. So he had already proposed, but for one or two reasons he was waiting, whatever the case may be, until she brought that question. So you're actually right, Daniel, on that part. I think the most important points, and just like you said, let's be open-minded. The most important thing is that it shouldn't be that the woman is dragging the man. I think that's when that becomes a problem. When the man feels like, oh, I'm doing you a favor to get married to you, that kind of thing. But if we are not, which of course the woman should be discerning and smart to know. But if it's not a case of I'm dragging you, or same thing, a man too cannot ask a woman out and it looks like the woman is behaving like she's doing him a favor. You want to say something?
Yes. Yeah, I want to say something. I feel like that is a two-way side of a conversation. First, the woman might be putting pressure on her man that she wants to be married based off the fact that the things she's seeing around her. If it will not be fair on the woman, all the girls in her circle are getting married, and she says she's in a relationship. What's wrong with her? Why can't she be married also? That is one angle. Also, some men are genuinely just selfish. They are selfish. They want to get every benefit and not put the ring on that finger. So sometimes you have to propel the men to actually know where they are and what they want. Because at the end of the day, some men don't have the intention of marrying you. They just want that wife to exist without being married to you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Daniel, what are some of the mistakes, and surely there will be, because even amongst women we talk about these things, from your own experience just with women, what are some of the mistakes that you think women may be making that may be putting off some men from wanting to maybe get married to them? So you may have a case study in your head, because this is not necessarily generalized. Some people, as it may not happen to some as well. But what are some of the mistakes that women might be making in this generation, ladies may be making in this generation, that may be putting off some men that are even trying to make effort to say, you know what, despite the financial struggle, despite whatever it is that is happening, I still want to try to get married to this kind of woman. But then I was with Amaka yesterday, or I was with Kofo yesterday or day before, and I just saw this and it puts me off.
So first off, I don't think anyone is making any mistake. That's a personal opinion. I don't think any woman is making any mistake, as a personal opinion. I feel like we are all products of our communities, our environment, and our families. So it's a certain level of standard has been unconsciously instilled in us. And if we do not see women in those standards, in those qualities that we have always seen as in our family, in our community, in our experiences, we might disqualify that woman. Doesn't necessarily mean that she's making a mistake, right? So you see a man telling you stuff like, oh, he can't be with this kind of woman, but that woman is definitely perfect for another man. So culture, experiences, and upbringing play a big role in the criteria we look out for as men, in the women that we look out, that we want to be with, right? But on a general note, which a lot of people talk about, I think because of how African men have been raised, this is still a point to argue. Respect. A lot of men will tell you they want to be respected. And like my brother would say, the woman has to be peace. But I would say that you have to find your peace of your own. You should not be with a woman and expect the woman to be your peace. You should find your peace. You should be happy for yourself. And both parties should be happy, coming together, joining forces to make a happy home. Not you being unhappy and wanting to make the woman your happy place. No, you have to be happy as an individual. And a lot of men are unhappy. Are unhappy. So at the end of the day, they are not finding the right woman for themselves because they themselves are not happy. And the root of unhappiness is the expectation that some of these men have. So they expect that they want a it's looking kind of late with this certain kind of qualities, right? But do these men themselves possess the qualities they are looking out for in the women they want to be with, right? So you're looking for loyalty, you're looking for somebody who is faithful, you're looking for somebody who is open-minded, who is respectful. Are you willing as a man to be all of these things that you want from a woman to have first before making demands? Like they say, you can't give what you do not have. So if you do not have it, how do you expect it to come close to you?
Apt. I mean, so apt. And I think I have 2 more questions before our rapid fire question, and then we will let you go. What a deep session we've had this afternoon. Daniel, I'll put it to you. It's a conversation that is not new. So I want to ask you, do all men cheat? Because this conversation is all over the place about men and cheating and blah, 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 blah. So please, do all men cheat, or do all men have the propensity to cheat? Or what is this thing with men and cheating that some women continue to talk about and press about? In fact, some women have lowered the side. Just manage him, but manage him. As long as he will come home to you, the wife, just manage him. What is your honest perspective about that?
So, I'll say this way. All men have tendencies to cheat until proven otherwise. All men have the tendencies to cheat until proven otherwise. The same way I said it before, that all men can be rapists until proven otherwise.
Right.
Because we have seen different cases of fathers raping their daughters, right? And doesn't mean that the father didn't love the daughter. Doesn't mean that the father doesn't realize that this is his biological daughter, right? So all men have the tendencies to cheat until proven otherwise. But there is a place of responsibility, there's a place of accountability, there's a place of transparency, honesty, which every man must possess. So if these are your values as an individual, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that you would cheat on your wife, but you would sense of responsibility towards this person, how much they have been there for you, what you as an individual stand for. A lot of men cannot take half of the things they do to women. They can't take half of the things they do to women. We always make the excuse of, when a man cheats, he's just cheating with his body. When a woman cheats, it's with their emotions. But it's still the same thing. You cheated, right? You cheated, and there's no excuse for doing wrong to somebody with the intentions of you doing it. Because a lot of times, men are intentional about the things they do. They are highly intentional about it. It's premeditated. No, not that it just happens anyway. They think about it. Nothing happens in a flash of time. And until that man is ready to take responsibility for himself and make sure that he tells himself, I will not cheat on my partner. I will be faithful to my partner. I would rather break up with my partner than to cheat on my partner.
Thank you.
It's still a thing of responsibility at the end of the day.
Thank you so much. I love Doctor. Thank you for joining our conversation. Yes, love Doctor. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Okay, so the other question that I have for you, Daniel, is you spoke about men and transparency. What do you think may be holding men back from being transparent at this time, or is it getting better? Because you spoke about being a form of transformation for men, and that's something being a reason why they are not talking about some of the challenges they are having.
Well, men have not been taught to be vulnerable. That's the first thing I think I would say. We are not in a society where men have been taught to be vulnerable. We always tell men to man up. To see a man cry in public is almost impossible, right? But a woman will literally cry if she misplaces her wallet, or she sees a child falls down, or she's even watching a movie, right? Men have not been taught how to be vulnerable. And also from the point of view where, not everybody, for me personally, I don't like to see my downfall. I always want to make sure that I figure out everything on my own. I'd rather keep on struggling till I figure things out on my own than opening up to the next person. We are in a society that have not encouraged this. We've had counseling and therapy for the longest of time, but we have never embraced it. Like in the society that we find ourselves, it has always been existing. We must be willing to share our problems with ourselves, right? So go back to the to the early times, like the 60s to 70s, men spoke about the problems they had. They were not quiet about it. Men were able to talk about, oh, this is happening to me. I don't know what to do about it. Can you people give me a solution? That was why there was an Oba, a king, that they run to when they have a problem they cannot solve. There's a council chief that they can speak to. But over time, we began to have a society that became very selfish in the sense that everybody wanted to take care of their own. So because everybody wanted to take care of their own, and everybody was ensuring that my problem is my problem, your problem is your problem, deal with your own. So even when I had a problem, I would find it difficult to approach the next person because I have created that barrier of selfishness to say, I'm taking care of my family first, and I need to take care of myself first. Go abroad, come back home and build a house for your parents. In that same community where people are suffering, why not do a borehole for the community first? So even when that man has a problem, he can't run to anybody in that community because he are taking care of himself first. The selfishness that has been instilled in us has allowed for men not to be vulnerable.
Wow, what a response. Okay, Daniel, what is the final question I have for you is what will make men in this generation get married faster? What are some tips? Please let women know. What are some of those things? Let's know. Is it money where they have more money or what? Please let us know some of these tips.
Well, okay, I'm not sure I'll be able to answer for everybody. I think I'll just speak about things I have seen and how I have seen people respond to issues. So, first is financial stability. A lot of men want to be financially stable, to be providers in their home, which is a very important thing. I also think that a lot of men need to change from their belief system of how they feel a woman should be, from the traditional ideology of the role of a woman in a home. Right, that is something that needs to change. A lot of men are not ready to adjust to that, right? To have that. A lot of men need to know how to approach women. Some men don't know how to approach women. Some men are outrightly very rude and insensitive, right? Some men are outrightly rude and insensitive. And no lady should be treated unfairly. No lady should be with a man that is rude and insensitive. That's also very important. Compatibility. A lot of men are looking for people that are compatible with them, right? Like I said, what works for A might not work for B. A man can be with a woman who is okay with him leaving the house for 3 months and not coming back. There are a lot of women that are married to sailors who go on the water for 3 months, 6 months, and they come back, or married to people in the military. They go to the field for 3-6 months, they are okay with it. But if you are marrying a woman who wants to see at least the worst once in 2 weeks, and you are going away for 3 months, that is not compatibility. That's also very important. Compatibility is key. Also, emotional maturity. Some men feel like men are not mature enough. Emotional maturity is something that needs to be put into perspective. A lot of men are looking for women of a certain class, of a certain level of maturity, because of they have in their head how they want their home to be. But that also goes down to communication. The man must spell it out to the woman. This is the kind of home I'm hoping to build, and I don't think you fit into it. Or can you adjust? Can you do this? Openness and a man might not be vulnerable with everybody, but I think men need to know how to be vulnerable with their partners. Men need to know how to be vulnerable with their partners. A lot of men are vulnerable with their partners. They do not know how to be vulnerable with their partners. Respectful and sensitive. Trust me, a lot of men need to know how to be more sensitive to the time that we find ourselves. Women are now more outspoken about how they feel instead of bottling it up, because of the silent culture is being broken, right? So, yeah, physically attractive. I have to find you physically attractive. For me, it's a key thing, right? Men will tell you they have a particular kind of man they want to be, but it differs. Must find the person physically attractive. Not that you are, what's the word now? There's a difference between finding the person physically attractive and looking for a specific type of body shape.
Okay, yes, true.
There's a difference between physically attractive and then you're looking for a specific kind of body shape. Because if you keep your mind on looking for a specific kind of body shape, the person that would align with you might not have the body shape you have in mind. I'm not saying that is not a good criteria to have. We must strike a balance between both of them as an individual. Because if you choose the body shape over character, over compatibility, at the end of the day, you're going to go back to square one. right? Also, a sense of humor. The person you want to be with has to be able to make you laugh, make the other person laugh. It's vice versa. It is not one-way direction. Friendship, very, very key. I see a lot of couples today and I admire them because of I look at the friendship they have, how they hold themselves, how they relate to themselves, which is very, very good. Romance is key. A lot of men want to be treated in a certain way. See, men love to be showered with praises. Men love compliments, right? Men want to have a sense of belonging. They want to feel like, oh, they are involved in your life. Even if they want you to tell them things without you asking them about those things. They want you to tell them about what's happening in your circle without necessarily asking you what's happening in your circle. Yeah, they want you to come to them, just throw this information at them. They like it. For them, they feel like, oh yeah, that's my woman, that kind of thingy. So men have a happy place. Men have a happy place, and women must identify these things too. So if you're marrying a man who likes to watch football, that might be his happy place. You must not say that's the time you want to watch Telemundo
or SeaWorld.
So finding his happy place with him and not now telling him that oh, we need to talk now when his happy place is football and he's going to be watching the match at this time. Why don't you wait for the talk? Why doesn't the talk wait? And then when he's done with his happy place, get him to sit down, get him. Women know how when they want to get something from a man, they catch them in their happy place. They catch a man. When you want your man to sign you a check that you would not naturally ask for, he would not give out on a normal day. Find that man in his happy place. So women need to understand what is the happy place of their man, right? I'm not just use that to get things from them, but also use that to have a conversation where they will listen to the woman. And what else? Like hardworking men are looking for hardworking women. They're looking for hardworking women. Men are looking for women who will be able to manage the environment. We cannot predict what will always happen to us, but what we can predict is how we respond to these things. So anger is a very key thing. Forgiveness and to forgive a situation when it happens is also important. How do you manage an argument in a relationship, right? Men want to have arguments with women and not necessarily feel like they're always fighting all the time. And it's not like, I'm not saying that some men don't do wrong. No, some men actually do some very stupid things and they want the man to just what's this word now? They'll gaslight the women, right? They gaslight the women instead of dealing with the issue decisively. So it's also very, very key that men understand this importance of knowing how to manage anger in a relationship, knowing how to manage conflicts, and they want to see that from the woman also, right? And I think I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else.
You've really said. I mean, that I want to say, please, we've now bestowed the relationship is left. Basically, you read course to class. Thank you so much. Thank you, Daniel. Let's go to your rapid fire question. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your favorite food?
Food. Spaghetti.
What are you allergic to?
Hi. What am I allergic to? I don't think there's anything. I don't think so.
Okay, best movie. What's your best movie?
Ooh, this Ferrari versus Ford.
Yeah, look for that movie. What's your best book?
Ooh, best book. Rich Dad Poor Dad. One of the very first book I read. Rich Dad Poor Dad. One of my very first books I read.
Were you born in Nigeria? Were you giving birth to in Nigeria?
Yes, I was born in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria.
Weren't born in Nigeria, what country would you have liked to be born into?
Ireland.
Ooh, wow. Gold or silver?
Gold. Black.
Yellow or pink?
Pink. I'll do pink.
Do pink. What is your favorite attire to wear?
Favorite attire to wear? I think I like suits. I don't wear them all the time, but I really like them if I have a chance to wear them. Yes.
What is your favorite thing to do?
Listen to podcasts and watch YouTube.
Okay. What do you like to do for fun?
Swim. I like to swim.
Cool. Small chops or jollof rice?
Jollof rice. So.
They are fruits or vegetables?
Fruits, because I've been ill for a little while, so fruits for the meantime.
The bus or an airplane?
The what?
Bus or an airplane? Would you rather take the bus or an airplane?
Aeroplane, no. Eh?
Will you do rain or sunshine?
Sunshine.
A day at the beach or a day in one of your favorite restaurants?
A day at the beach. I like the water.
Okay, so finally, what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh, that's a good question. I listened to something that's around that question too. I think legacy.
Yes, you can't bother one sentence.
Oh, legacy. I want to be remembered for I'm really thinking how to answer the question, right? But legacy from a place where when people think of the things you have done as an individual,